right. Yay. I'm so excited to be here with you today, Roseanne. Thanks for making the time. You were the first person I ever interviewed live.
What? I just totally forgot that.
Yeah, I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. So, all right, everybody. Roseann Hanson is a veteran nature journaler and co founder and logistics director of the Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference. This year, you will be teaching the art of nature's math. So, let's dive into the topic of the class first, and then maybe we can get some details about the conference later and some about your own background. And don't forget, everybody, there will be a lightning round, which is always fun, everybody's favorite. So maybe just to start with some like visual stuff, can you show some pages or some art and describe a field session where you might use some of nature's math in your nature journal?
Sure. Well, we are surrounded by geometry, math. I mean, the structure of nature is incredibly embedded with complex geometry. Even the human, us, we're from our
Mm,
DNA, up to kind of the proportions that we have,
mm,
for example, are actually Fibonacci related numbers, ratios,
mm.
um, Fibonacci spirals, and things like that. So, for example, here's some of the things I've been working on, like,
Ooh.
yeah, a this is a tree drawn with using what we call fractal tree geometry, which we'll be learning this in the class, but I'll give a little bit of hints. Leonardo da Vinci actually noticed this because he was studying trees to draw them, right? So art brought us some science. So that's what I think is really cool about a lot of this. Leonardo was studying trees. So what he was doing, he was noticing things. And he noticed that the branches before the branches preceding it, so as a tree goes up, um, the daughter branches, the length and the diameter of those are equivalent to
Mm.
everything in that branch. And there was a
Whoa.
relationship. And so using a fractal tree branching calculator,
Oh.
we use certain formulas to draw a fractal tree, which many trees in nature follow this rule. In fact, it's called the area preserving branching principle or rule. And scientists are using it today to do things like study uh, the Amazon rainforest, knowing exactly how much carbon one tree outputs using fractal geometry, they can
Wow.
a carbon output of an entire forest. And they,
Wow, that's really cool.
I know, it's just, so we'll be talking about that in the class. That's part of it. Um, what else we
Great.
can, yeah, go ahead.
Well, that sort of segues right into my next question, which is sort of from a nature journaling perspective, though. Why do you think numbers and math are important for nature journalers? Like, so for like the majority of people who are pursuing, maybe they're not going to do a study in the Amazon about like
Right.
carbon sequestration, but like, why is it important for nature journaling in general?
Well, it's part of just inquiry and noticing. So, for example, when I was learning about fractal geometry, trees, and then I went down a rabbit hole of leaves and how leaves grow on a stem. It's called
Mm,
phyllotaxis. And so, what did I do? Got my journal. I went out and went to my tangerine tree, right? Just your little tangerine tree. And I'm like, well, can I study this and draw it? And we might have drawn that tree 15 times, but now that I know a little bit about the math, I can go in and say, oh, gosh, the leaves appear on the stem in groups of 5 at 137.5-degree angles.
mm.
And if you know some math, you'll know that that is actually the Fibonacci ratio.
Nice. So basically, it helps us maybe put into words or understand more nuanced things that we're seeing in nature.
It does, and it's also just kind of part of that what makes us love nature journaling, which is to you can do it many different ways. And sometimes I like to just go out and draw something and enjoy the beauty and not go any farther than that. But if
Hmm.
I really wanted to dive farther, then the math is one way we can really expand our universe, and literally the universe, and then understand the connections. And that's something Leonardo also said was, um, now I'll just paraphrase, to really see, to really study something, then you'll get to understand the interconnectedness of the universe.
Mm,
And I
mm,
think that is nature journaling's essence, isn't it?
mm.
I mean, and math is also, you can use it literally. Like, let me show you. Um, you'll probably recognize these.
Ooh, yeah. Let me put you
So
on
doing
solely out there for.
yeah, doing this is from John Muir Laws, does this almost every year whenever he can, doing a solstice parties
Yeah.
online that we do. And you have to use trigonometry and some formulas
Hmm.
to measure and calculate the angles, so then you can put the angles on your chart
Right.
correctly. So that's another way to use math in nature journaling and really have a lot of fun.
Cool. Okay, so it seems like it helps for understanding the universe better. What about maybe you could describe what is the relationship between numbers and beauty?
Ooh, yeah. That okay, that is really fun. So the probably a lot of people who study art, or you might or we delve into it on the fringes with nature journaling, is the golden mean,
Mhm.
and the golden rectangle, right? Which is it's basically the rule of 5/8, where you divide your sheet of paper into eighths, and you place your key points at the 3/8 or the 5/8 point. And if you draw this out, and we're going to cover this in the class, if you draw this out, it's actually ends up, you can mathematically draw the Fibonacci spiral in it using Fibonacci numbers. I think that that is embedded in our, literally our DNA, because we gravitate to the beauty of the 5/8. Um, the Fibonacci number, is, or the ratio, let's say, is 1 to 1.618. And if you divide 1 by 1.618, you get 5/8. So I'm a nerd. So I went on Etsy and I bought,
Oh,
have you seen these?
I've seen pictures of them. Yeah.
So this is a Fibonacci gauge. So wherever you expand this, this is 1.168, and this is 0.618. So this is the Fibonacci ratio.
Wow.
So curiously, one of the ways this is used is in the beautician industry.
No way.
Much smaller ones. This one is an artist one, but much smaller ones. They use it for, oops, I did it the wrong way. Measuring when you, now I don't pluck my eyebrows, but a lot of people do.
Oh,
And they use it for like the
where you
right,
should put the eyebrow.
because it's the golden ratio,
Oh,
right?
so the relationship between the size of your
The
eye
size
and
of
the
the
space
eye and
between
the
your
space
eye and
between.
okay.
So beauticians use this for
Wow, I had no
professionally
idea.
plucking eyebrows. It can also be used like to prove that ratio there. Look,
Yeah.
and curiously, now this is something that after I started learning this, I was like, well, do I do this in my journal? Do I naturally set up a rule of 5/8? I actually do, and I don't plan it.
Whoa.
I often do these types of layouts, right?
Uh-huh.
Like that. Oh, so
Here, I'm going to put you on solo layout so people can really see it when you do that.
But I have to hold this up. So, but look at there.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
I think that's a natural thing that we have this tendency to veer toward the rule of grades. So if you want, you look at someone's journal page and you go, oh my gosh, that's really, I like that. It might be because there's some natural rule of 5/8. And I say that because that rule of 5/8 is embedded in the human everything. It's in our DNA. It's literally the spiral is a Fibonacci spiral of our DNA sequence. The proportions of our hands, our arms.
Wow, wow. That's so cool. Okay, next time I pluck I barely have any eyebrows, so I can't really. I guess if I ever get eyebrows tattooed on or something, then I will.
I know.
Sure.
I don't do that. I don't do manicures, so I don't know, but
I'm impressed that they do that though. That's pretty cool.
I was too. I was like, oh, okay. And apparently someone measured Angelina Jolie's face and she has like the perfect 5/8 face.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, so, well, since you've been flashing that tool around, one of the questions that I ask is, what materials will students need for your class? Do they need to get one of those things, or what are the basic materials they need for the class?
If you love tools, sure, these aren't very expensive. This guy makes these on Etsy. There's lots of them. But part of the class is I will have some free downloads, and one of them is I made a make your own. So you'll get a free PDF that you can cut out all these parts and put them together using
whoa,
what do you
cardboard?
Yeah, cardboard and wasn't the word just not rivet? Well, rivets or
oh, those brass things. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yay.
Okay.
Someone can put in the chat what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Grommets.
Grommets, there we go.
So you'll get one of those. You can make your own. And I will also include some special graph paper to print out. Ooh. So you can draw your own Fibonacci spirals using a graph paper that's set up exactly 53 by 30, 34 squares, which are Fibonacci numbers. So
cool. So, okay.
I'll just need, the other thing that you should probably have is that these are very useful, a protractor with angles.
Okay.
But you're also going to get a template to make one of these too.
Okay, so cool.
When we draw our fractal trees, you'll have your own. You'll want to print that out ahead of time because we'll use this. This is a 60-degree angle, and these are the ratios of branch length. So we'll be using that to draw a tree.
Great. Okay, so it sounds pretty basic, but people should definitely check out on your class description, or are you going to on the shed when that goes up? So you'll have the info.
The Wild Wonder Nature Journaling Conference is hosted on a platform called sked.com. So when you buy your ticket sometime in September, we don't usually release it until September. You'll get access to the platform and you'll log in, and then every single class has an area. It's like a classroom, and you click in there and the instructor will put downloads, there'll be information, and the instructor can also, if you make sure you sign up for that class, the instructor will email you sometimes and say, hey, this is what you need for your class, a pencil, definitely a pencil for this one, since we'll be doing some this kind of sketching, which is going to need some back and over. So
for sure. I'm going to show if people don't know already, here's the and I'll put it into the chat as well. And when the shed or sked, however you want to pronounce it, comes up, I will do a live video where I go over it and talk about some tips and tricks for using it. I've done that in past years because sometimes there's a little bit of a learning curve, but
Yeah.
this is a great example that Roseanne's class has some stuff that you should definitely check out before you attend the class, and especially before you start asking like a ton of questions about like the materials and stuff. So being prepared is a really important part for like showing respect to the teachers and getting the most out of these classes. So
Yeah, it really
I'm
helps you get the most so you're not frantically downloading things when the teacher's already
exactly,
started and the moderators are trying to get it to you, and it really, really helps. So, yeah,
exactly.
definitely check the sched. Yeah, it's sched as in schedule, but if you're in
Mhm,
England, it's schedule, right? So
mhm. Cool. Okay, awesome. So a few more classes, questions about your class, and then some questions about Wild Wonder, other questions about you, and then the lightning round. So folks, don't worry, the lightning round is gonna still be here. We've got lots of people checking in from Arizona and the Southwest, so these must be some of your friends and fans and followers from New Mexico, and we've got
oh,
Scottsdale,
hi, Mar. No,
Arizona.
that's Mar. Hello.
Cool. All right. So, couple more questions about the class. One is, what about skill level for your class?
Oh, this is totally, well, let me just back up and say, Wild Wonder, every class, you can be a beginner. It's really set up for everyone. There are no classes I would say you have to be like well advanced. I would say that mine is really geared toward beginning as well. It's really just about there's going to be very little actually of uh, like drawing instruction. It's more discovery drawing. So we'll be doing Fibonacci spirals, which were actually kind of hard. When even the graph paper, like you're trying to do the spiral and you're like, oh, that one failed, because you have to get the arc just right.
Uh-huh.
And then we'll do the tree, and then we might do some branching. So not super heavy, but there's some really fun classes this time. I mean, they're
Yeah.
always, but there's some super interesting skill classes on this one.
Yeah.
Super excited. Yeah, I
Okay.
get to rehearse every single.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that in a second. All right. So, just last two questions about your class is, what is the most important sort of quality or mindset that someone could bring to your class?
Would be just a don't be afraid of the numbers. It's we're going to be talking about some complex formulas, and some of it, I'll be doing some keynote PowerPoint type
Hmm.
presentation, and some of it's going to be like, you're like, wait, I haven't seen that since high school. But it's okay. You're not going to be like having to calculate massive, complex things, but I want to show it to you because it's going to be interesting. So
So,
don't
don't
be
get scared of the math. Okay.
don't be afraid of the math. I'm
All right.
not a mathematician, but I love this stuff. It's so fun.
Okay, cool. That's part of why I'm excited about taking your classes because it feels like it's going to be a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I know that in nature journaling, we talk about the three languages, words, images, and numbers. And numbers, there's a lot of things you can only show in numbers. So, like, if you're making observation in nature, there's certain things that, but often they get left behind in favor of the words and images. So, I'm going to take your class partly to like kind of push myself a little bit to get a little bit better at that. And my last question is, when students leave your class, how will they be different or what will they leave with?
Mm. Well, you'll never be able to look at a plant or certain things again without like going, ooh, does that have a Fibonacci sequence? Or things like, I'm hoping you'll also do things like the next time you sketch a river, think about things like fluid dynamics,
Mm,
because there's actually the uh, formula for calculating meanders in a river is universal. It's a mathematical
whoa.
equation. So I'm just hoping, that's what people will do is they will have that curiosity to go, oh, I wonder what's behind that. And then do some research.
Cool. All right. Awesome. So, usually at this stage, I ask people if they've been to the Wild Wonder Conference before, but obviously you have been since the beginning. And then I ask, are you planning on taking any classes or attending any keynotes, and which? So maybe you could tell us a little bit about what you'll be up to during the live conference, or how you approach the classes, since you probably have a
Oh,
lot of hats you're wearing, right?
yeah, well, that's a loaded question because I actually attend every single program, because I'm kind of the architect behind what's going on. So I'm lucky I get to do every single one. Now, I don't take the classes because I'm actually helping to run. 3 or 4 of us behind the scenes are running everything, so you can't really pay
Yeah,
attention. So what I like to say is what I, will go back and watch for fun, because when you're running it behind the scenes, you can't,
of
like with
course.
your class. I'm so excited about your class, but I can't really like
Right.
relax, get into it
No.
because there's 3 or 400 people we've got to be taken care of. So I'll go back and watch yours. I'll go back, I'm super excited about Sophia Gazarian's
Hmm.
her birds
Yeah,
class. There's so many. I mean, all of them are so
great.
interesting.
Okay, cool. We'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about Wild Wonder Conference stuff in a minute. But I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about your work outside of just Wild Wonder, because you do lots of really cool stuff and have been nature journaling for a long time. So to sort of get started with that one, what did 9-year-old Roseanne want to do?
Oh, fun. That's so fun that you mentioned that. I have a picture of myself when I was 8 years old, and I'm carrying my little field bag. It's ever since I was that age. That's when my dad built me a, a weather station, those
Wow.
Stevenson screens, and I would go out every day at 4 o'clock. That's when you do them, when it's analog, and that was kind of my first journal. Is he gave me a little notebook, and I would go out and I would get my pencil and I would record the weather. And so, but what I really wanted to be for the longest time was a writer and a
Oh,
communicator. And so that's really what I ended up doing. And that's what journaling is. It's being a communicator. You observe, you write down, you report, you distill it for other people to enjoy. So that's really what I've always wanted to do, and luckily met someone very early who shared the same passions, and we've been doing it together for 40 years.
cool. That is awesome. So that's a little bit about how you got started. How does this sort of art and exploration seep into other aspects of your life?
Oh, it's doesn't seep, it's completely integrated. So exploration is something everyone can do. It's something we all do. It's not something defined as like, oh no, you have to go cross Antarctica on skis to be an explorer. No, exploration is always being curious, always
Mm,
seeking new knowledge. And that is our passion. And in fact, we just started a new magazine in June. July was the first issue, called Exploration Quarterly. And it has a whole section on field arts, because communication of exploration is something humans have been doing since we've been scribing on cave walls.
mhm,
It's what we do.
mm,
Humans are visual creatures, and
mhm.
we want to communicate what we know, what we learn, what we see. And I think we've been doing that forever.
I love that. I'm going to share this comment here from Nature Sketches. Um, and then we have a conference logistics question that I'll try to bring that up in a second. We'll do the
Okay.
lightning round. Oh, wait, a couple more things here. So my last question on the work and stuff like that is, well, this is kind of back to your class a little bit, but why do you think more people don't include numbers in their nature journals?
Oh, I think there's it's the visual thing. I've been thinking a lot about this because I've been talking a lot with Alex Boone about
Hmm.
um, how we express ourselves in our journals, and he and I both believe that there is no one way to do it, but that humans are very strongly visually oriented. And so, yeah, the words and the numbers are something we actually have to think about adding. We want to do the sketch. We want to do like the really cool beetle, right? We want to do that, but to add the numbers and the measurements and the math is something you have to push the extra mile for. So unless you're a
Hmm.
mathematician by trade, I think that yeah, you have to think about it, and that's the
Right.
only reason. It's
That
not
makes
nothing
sense.
bad about it. It's just we're visual creatures. We want to draw those really nice sketches. We love looking at them. We love sharing them.
Hmm. Speaking of mathematicians, I'm just going to share this comment from James, who was wanted to let you know about some of the advanced classes that he's taking. So James
I
is often sharing about his interest in math and
The
stuff like
laws
that.
of
So
thermodynamics. Yeah, that's a
yeah.
cool one. I mean, I dove a little bit into fluid dynamics, not thermodynamics, but that he'll understand that the laws in nature, laws that can be expressed using math, that's how we express a lot of the science behind things like thermodynamics, fluid dynamics, jet propulsion, everything. It's got to be math.
Hmm.
But the cool thing is in art, we can do it too, and they're
Hmm.
not mutually exclusive. So people who do know a lot about mathematics and are lucky enough to have studied it like at that level really understand a lot more about how it comes out in other things.
Mm, that's cool. Okay, are you ready for the lightning round?
Sure.
Okay, first, can you make a lightning sound?
Me? Like Kazuma?
Yeah, there we
About
go. Good
20
one.
minutes ago, we had some real lightning, so I could have done.
I think one time I was interviewing you and we did the lightning round, and your electricity and internet actually went out because there was a thunderstorm happening there.
Yep, I remember that. Yeah,
That
that
was pretty
not uncommon.
crazy. Okay, so the first ones are, sort of the short answer. Is coffee an essential art supply?
Uh, T,
Okay, organized or messy?
organized,
Do you like nature journaling alone or with other people?
alone,
Does your family understand your nature journaling?
absolutely.
Do you eat snacks while you're nature journaling?
No, in fact, I stop eating and drinking entirely and sometimes have to remind myself.
Wow. Are you a perfectionist?
I used to be. You
Okay,
can
we're
ask
gonna
me about that later.
yeah, we'll start a club on recovering perfectionists.
You have to
Plants or yeah, plants or animals?
like, oh, if I had to pick, plants are my favorite. Except beetles. I like beetles.
Ink or graphite?
Ink.
When it comes to art supplies, do you maximize or minimize?
Well, uh, I like to say that I minimize, but I just bought a whole bunch.
I can relate to that. Do you like the big picture or the micro?
Mm, probably micro first. I mean, if you made me pick one.
If you could nature journal on Mars or in the deep sea, which would you choose?
Well, I already nature journaled on Mars.
That's right. That's right. Is that available for people to find that
Yes,
online?
on my website. Which
Okay.
I just this is totally we did not plan this, guys.
Yeah. Wow. So Roseanne has actually been nature journaling on Mars, and you can go too.
Yes, on my website, it's a virtual field trip to Mars. I used footage from the Perseverance. I'm a Perseverance nerd. Here's my Perseverance sticker. Yeah, I'm a total space nerd.
I
So,
totally forgot about that. This is just one of my stock questions that I ask in the lightning round. Okay, fast or slow?
medium.
All right. And then what face do you make when someone walks up to you and says, "You are so talented, I could never do that"?
Good question. You have to train yourself. First impulse is to go, but I've trained myself to smile and say thank you.
Aw, that's a good start.
Because it's good for you
Um,
and it's really nice for the person. You don't want to make the person feel bad either.
yeah. Okay, so we're still in the lightning round, but now we have these other sort of longer answer questions. If you could nature journal with any historical figure, who would you want to nature journal with?
Beatrix Potter.
Nice. Okay, if you could have a nature journaling superpower, what superpower would you want?
Ooh, to get a lot better at live sketching birds, for example, which
Mm,
move so quickly, and be just. I want to get much better at that.
cool. Okay, if you were going to be stuck on a deserted island and could only bring 5 nature journaling supplies, what, and all your survival stuff is taken care of,
Oh, okay.
what, yeah, what 5, you don't need a can opener, what 5 nature journaling supplies would you have to have with you?
Oh, good fountain pen, ink. Does paper count? I mean, gotta have our paper, right? Because I
Yeah, like your
guess I could
sketchbook.
make paper out of birch bark, but that would mean I would be in a northern island. But so
So ink and fountain pen.
pen, paper, um, and 3 primary colors, and that's, I think, all I would need, and a brush.
Okay, great. Um, all right, and then the last one is which fictional character, from books or movies, do you think would be really good at nature journaling?
Ooh, hmm. Boy, that's a gotta think about one. It's gotta be someone who fictional, though, who is good at
Hmm.
observing. Um, well, we happen to be reading the, uh, Far Side of the World series, the, Patrick O'Brien, sailing series.
Mm.
And so Stephen Maturin is one of the characters, and he's a naturalist. He's kind of
Oh,
based on a character like sorry, I just
no
got a
worries, no
cold.
worries.
Anyway,
I
I
could.
think he would be out there sketching and drawing because he's an observer.
Great. I'll have to look that one up. The End of the World series, right?
Oh, the far edge of the world. It's
Far
the
Edge of the
Patrick
World.
O'Brien sailing series. It's
Ooh.
super cool.
Okay, I will definitely look into that. All right, good job in the lightning round. Um, and let me make that lightning round thing go away. You survived the lightning round. Yay. I want to go back and see the other time I had you on the show. I don't remember if we I don't remember
We
what your
did a
answers
we
were.
did a lightning round. They were slightly different, I think, but yeah, it'd be
Yeah,
interesting if anything changed, wouldn't it?
yeah, definitely. Okay, let's talk a little bit about Wild Wonder Conference for beginners. So you probably know more about the numbers about this than I do, but it does seem like a lot of nature journaling events. There's a high proportion of beginners. So maybe we can cover some stuff here since you know so much about the conference that could help some of those people out. So first of all, if for people who've never been to the conference before, what would be your number one tip?
Oh, well, I would approach it as a smorgasbord, or a buffet, right, of skills and actually some of the best teachers in the world. And be sure to take something from everyone.
Mm,
Um, if you're a beginner, this year we are starting. The first class is Matthias Lannis's really a basic how to get over the fear of the blank page and get started. I think start with that one. Remember that all of them are recorded, and I try to get the recording up within a day so you can catch them almost as you go. So we hope to do that this time as well.
Great. So try to think of it as a smorgasbord and sample a lot of different styles and techniques, it sounds like, is
Yeah.
your suggestion.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then we do have a specific question that came up earlier that I think makes sense is since you're talking about the video version, maybe you could answer this question and say a little bit about the video pass.
So, so the videos are available to stream through Sched. They're not
Mhm.
downloadable.
Right.
Oh, but the downloads, like
Like the class downloads.
oh yeah, everything is hosted on the platform sked.com. So for 6 months, you have access to everything. So you don't have to cram this all in 5 days and like, I gotta do it all. You have 6 months. You can go back, access the downloads, and communicate. You can, if you have a question for the teacher, sometimes if you ask that through Sched, we can contact the teacher if they're available. So
Cool.
yeah, it's all available for 6 months. And
Great.
yes, the video pass as well. It does even without.
Great. Great. Thanks for that question and answer. So, what is a common misconception people have about the conference?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I'm actually not aware of that. Maybe you have some
Um,
thought on that?
well, what if you had to imagine something about the conference that maybe a lot of people don't realize? Like, what is something about the conference that a lot of people don't realize? Could you think of something like
Well, that
that?
it's not about art education. It is not an artist's school. The classes are geared toward skills for journaling in nature. So that would be one thing, is that don't come expecting
Right.
a master class in how to suddenly get 100% accomplished in graphite or watercolor in
Mhm.
90 minutes. So no, I think that maybe that's one, is these
That's a
are
great one.
very specific. Like there's going to be a fantastic class in using vine charcoal,
Mhm.
very specific, but it's not a
Mhm.
master class in using charcoal.
Right, right. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, do you have any behind the scenes stories that you want to share, or like any funny things, or maybe something that would help people kind of just get a feeling for the kind of stuff that's happening behind the scenes while they're taking
Oh
all these
yeah.
classes?
So whenever they're enjoying the conference, remember there are about 25 of us behind the scenes, 20 volunteers who are they've been spending hours and hours doing rehearsals right now with the instructors. They've been working hard to make sure the instructors are supported and we make it easy for them. So just remember all the people who are there like little hamsters behind the scenes making it all run, and that there are human beings back there. So when you write in the Q&A, or you're asking questions, remember those are real people,
Yeah,
and they're wonderful, fantastic humans. So maybe give them a shout out, just put a comment. Thank you so much for your time volunteering to make this happen.
that's a great one. Okay, all right. What is the hardest part about organizing the conference?
So like right now we have 30 rehearsals going on. So imagine 30 instructors, 20 volunteers, and trying to schedule everyone, because I'm
Yeah,
scheduling. We had your rehearsal. So that's the hardest part, is really just honestly, this year the volunteers, our moderators it's the best team we've ever had. They're so professional. They show up on time. You saw with your group, just they show up. They're there to help you. They help you troubleshoot. They make you. I hope they made you feel supported. And
Definitely.
so the hard part is that when the tech fails, right? We've had that happen a couple times already, and it's like,
yeah.
But, no small kittens are harmed. So it's the world won't end if the tech doesn't work right.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's see. Another question about the conference and sort of beginners and behind the scenes and everything. If you had a magic wand and you could sprinkle some attribute on all of the attendees before the conference, what would you bless them with? Like, what kind of mindset would you sprinkle on everybody coming this year?
Just a sense of wonder and openness and goodness towards others, so that you relax and just have a good time. But that opening sense of, what am I going to learn today? And so maybe learn special sparkle dust for learning and wonder, and don't be afraid that you won't be able to, because it's just about practice. It's
great. Yeah, I just talked to Nishant Jain, who's going to be teaching, and he kept saying the word curiosity, and he hasn't been to Wild Wonder before, but it sounds like he's definitely on that same track. So it's really great to hear the consistency there. And you mentioned this a little bit, but what tips would you have for people who are coming to the conference who have strong inner critics or a fear of starting?
Yeah, that's entirely normal. And that blank, that where do I start? And it's really, I don't want to be flippant and say that, oh, you can just lay that aside, because I know you can't. I'm, like you said, I'm a recovering perfectionist at wanting to start every page and having it be what I want it to be right away. I had to learn how to downshift. So I would say, like, if your engine is running you got too many RPMs going, and you're like, I really want this to be good. Downshift, chill a little bit, stick it in neutral, and just kind of float in and let things happen. And that will help a lot.
Okay. I'm gonna try to remember your downshifting analogy, because I'm gonna try to do I'm gonna try to marathon the conference this year. I didn't last year, but the year before that, and I think the 2 years before that, I went to every single session and every single keynote, and then did a live at the end of the day, sort of talking about my experience.
Oh, nice.
And last year, there were so many talks about the importance of being in nature and all of the health benefits of
Right.
being outside. I was like, I can't spend 13 hours on the computer after listening to this talk. So I started taking longer breaks and stuff like that. But this year, I'm going to try. And I'm going to have to remember your downshifting
just,
tip.
kind of try not to rev it so high. And
yeah.
And it's okay, just consider it like, binge watching something. It's okay that we're doing a lot of this online, because we know the end result is we're going to be going out and doing this.
Exactly. That's how I tell myself. That's how I explain to myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's a question from Gail about the conference. About if you get that kind of data about attendees.
We do get the data. We don't share people's locations and things
Of course,
like that.
yeah.
We can just generally say, from all over the world, we'll be able to say at the end of the year, we'll release like how many countries and
cool.
How many people. So we don't have all the numbers in for this conference yet, because many people wait to the last minute to sign up. So, I mean, we're well on track for the same numbers as last year, in the thousands. So we know there's going to be quite a few people and all over the world, which is
Mhm.
really, really fun. I mean, just from our teachers, we've got uh, uh, Germany, Spain, let's see, India. Do we have Australia this year? Not this year. All over North America. So,
Mhm.
and then in our moderators, I've got many in Europe. I've got 3 in Asia.
Mhm.
They're all over the world too. So it's really fun.
Cool. And then what about the first time attendees? Is there a way to know if it's how many people are coming for their first time and how many people are repeat Wild Wonder attendees?
I'll have to ask Anne Marie if we are tracking that. We do a questionnaire, so I think we do track that, but I don't
Cool.
have access to that information.
Okay. Yeah,
Right
good
now.
question.
We will later, but
All right, cool question, Gail. That's very interesting. All right, let's do a couple. I have to get ready for my next interview with Shane Alden. So I have a couple sort of ending questions here. Um, what is one essential lesson you have learned from preparing and hosting the Wild Wonder Conference every year?
good question. That there are so many different ways to nature journal. There is no one way. And it's very important for us all to see what others are doing and embrace those as well and try new things and never have any static idea that it has to be a certain way. Um,
Hmm.
because, for what have we been doing this since 2019 when it was live? Every single instructor brings a different way. Every single attendee brings a different way. So what? That's, um, 5 or 6,000, 7,000 different
Yeah.
ways to journal.
Cool. Okay, so this is perfect for our final question then is what do you see as the future of the Wild Wonder Conference?
Oh, well, it evolves all the time. We are continuing to bring back live events after COVID. We will not stop doing the online. It's become a very important global way to reach very many
Hmm.
people in a very affordable way. And because live events essentially are much more expensive at the scale we're talking about,
Hmm.
so versus 100 something dollars versus 3 or 4 or 500, which it would
Yeah.
cost it over 5 days to have that many instructors flown in. You couldn't possibly do it for less than a, $1,000 ticket. So I think that is always going to be something, but we'll continue to bring back live events around the world.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, earlier someone mentioned in the comments, Suzanne Marshall mentioned that she's really grateful for the video pass because otherwise she wouldn't be able to, watch any of it this year. So,
Good. And don't
um,
forget too, we have scholarships. You can apply for a scholarship if the 115 isn't in your budget. And so we raise funds to support that. That's what the foundation is for. So there's loads of ways to attend. So glad
cool.
you are able to attend on that, Suzanne.
Yeah. All right. And then Cindy is grateful to everyone who's involved behind the scenes, also appreciative of the virtual event. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Roseanne, for making the time to be on the show. I'm really excited about your class and all the behind the scenes stuff. I think is important to showcase that a little bit for everybody. So thanks for making the time.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Yay. All right. The next one in 7 minutes or so is going to be with another panelist at the Nature Journaling Conference. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Bye. Thanks, Roseanne.